Good evening, everyone. Well, it's evening where I am. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Everything Spice. Have you ever made a promise to somebody and then at the last minute you realized you made the promise and tomorrow is the day that you need to deliver on that promise? Well, that is my situation tonight. I promised my sister that I would make some scones for the veterans kitchen tomorrow, and guess what? I totally spaced it out. So now in my kitchen at almost 9 o'clock at night, I am doing a late night edition of Everything Spice, and you are joining me, so I so appreciate you being here. My name is Tanya, and thank you for joining. All right, we're gonna work out of a cookbook, and this is one of my favorite cookbooks in the world. This is the King Arthur Flour Baking Companion. It's an older edition. They actually have a newer one. And I am working on, ta-da! New Hampshire Maple Walnut Scones. Oh my goodness, yes, fabulousness. That is what I'm gonna be doing today on Everything Spice. So I already have everything, my mise en place, as I say, everything in its place, right? So in this bowl, as you can see, I have walnuts. And I always mix my walnuts with my flour. So I have a separate bowl for liquid, separate bowl for flour. Very important with scones. It's a step-by-step process, okay? So in this bowl, I have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, unbleached or bleached, doesn't matter, whatever you have in your kitchen. 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, okay? And I believe I have a 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts in this one. And just this one, okay? So I'm gonna whisk it together because all the activants in the baking powder have to go in, right? Get it nice and zhuzhed right there like that. Excellent. Now, everything has to be cold. This is a super important thing. So here's the rest of it. I got 1/4 cup of shortening, vegetable shortening, okay? And 1/4 cup of cubed butter. Cold, 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 right? So we're gonna do the butter first, because that's the hardest to process. Now, if you have a cutter, like a biscuit cutter or anything like that, you can use it. Or you can use your very clean hands. Like I said, best tools in the house, as long as they're clean. Now, this is not gonna work, so I have to get in there with my hands. Now, believe me when I tell you this, friends, this is the process you have to do. You've got to cut it in. Very important. Try to use your fingertips and not the whole hand, because guess what? Your hands are hot and they can melt the butter faster. It's a real good way of making scones because what happens with the butter is it breaks down into like little coarse crumbs. Or you can use bigger crumbs. You can use your food processor if you have it. That would do well, or your KitchenAid, whatever you have. A kitchen stand, whatever, and I'm not recommending KitchenAid. No, I'm not. I'm not endorsing it. I do have one, but I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying that if you had one, it would make the process faster. But if you don't, I'm showing you the way to do it by hand. Now use your fingertips because that's less heat. We want the butter to stay pretty relatively whole. And we're gonna mix it into the flour just so, and then we'll add our shortening next. And this is the process of making scones. Biscuits, same thing. You do it like this, okay? You don't mix the liquids in, the milk or anything like that, until all of the butter, shortening, or just whatever you got there, the butter or the shortening or butter, whatever it is, or a combination of the two. I kind of like the combination of the two. So that's why I'm using it, okay? So you just squeeze it in and break it down. Trying to work quickly because you really need the butter to not melt. It's nighttime, so it's not really the daytime, and humidity can be a factor when you're making scones. If it's really hot in your kitchen, your product might not work out. So here we go. And I'm making a mess. Like I said, if you're not making a mess, you ain't doing it right, my friends. All right, here we go. Now look at this. See? Mixing it in. This is the coarse crummy. That's what you're gonna do. Now, add your shortening, okay? Use your hand, you're gonna wash them anyways. Come on now. But if you can't do it, if you don't like doing that, then by all means, don't do it. Use your KitchenAid, use your food processors, whatever you got, and do it that way instead. Now the shortening doesn't take as long because it's a softer product versus butter that's hard. So we're just gonna Mix it in as fast as possible, trying not to touch it too much. Try not to work it too much because you're melting it. And the flaky layers is what the butter and the shortening provide in the oven when the hot oven. I got it at 425 preheated. It's nighttime, people. I want to get to bed sometime tonight, so I got to really move on this. These scones are going to wait for no man. All right, so we're going to do this quick, and then I'm going to knead it on the board, cut it up, add all my ingredients, get these sconies in the oven. So here we go. So we got this going, and this is what it looks like, right? Of course, crumbs. Then at that point, after I wash my hands, please, give me a minute to wash my hands. I know that I'm going to be kneading on the board, but I just want to do that right now. Okay, here we go. So we have 1 cup of milk, and we're going to put it all in with, what is this? 1 cup of, no, it's a half a cup of maple syrup. So good. All right, so we're going to make a well in the middle. We're going to dump it in. Dump, dump, dump. And put the maple syrup in as well. Just dump it in. You don't gotta have, there's no ceremony here. After this point, it's just quickly working so that everything doesn't melt. Okay? Half a teaspoon, if you have it, if you can have it. This is maple flavoring. It really does, though, make a huge difference when you use it. I'm just saying. It's really, really bumps up the maple flavor. And all you need is, you just need a half a teaspoon of it. So let me see. Make sure I'm not putting too much in because I don't want to overpower. Half a teaspoon. Measure, measure. Very important in baking to measure. It's a science. If you add too much, too little, it changes the recipe, okay? So what we're gonna do is mix it all in really quickly, working it in. Now, depending on humidity, you might need more or less flour. But with scones, you really don't want to over mix, and you certainly don't want oh my God, it smells like maple in here. Oh, I love it. It is delicious smelling in here. Now, you might need a little bit more flour. It's kind of wet, but let me get this book out of the way because we're pretty much done at this point. I can work from here. I've done so many scones in my life. I know how to do it. That's why I'm showing you. Okay? That's why I'm showing you. Let me wipe up my mess here. Okay, now I got a little bit of flour and I got a biscuit cutter. Now, scones can be like, you can do it like in diamonds or squares or whatever. I'm doing it in circles because I kind of like it that way. The circles work for me. If it doesn't work for you, then by all means do it the regular way, but this is how I'm going to show you. I'm going to put it up on the board. Quickly working. Okay, here we go, friends. Get this out of the way. All right, and we're just doing this really fast because the faster you can get this in the oven, the better off you are. Now, if you need a little bit more, okay, here we go. Pat, pat, pat. It's really very fast to get it together. You're gonna zhuzh it together, squeeze it together like this, right? Very simple. Now, if you want to do it like more of a traditional scone way, what you do is you pat it down, and it's going to be pretty thick because you don't want very thin scones. You want it to be nice and big, and they'll rise in the oven as well. They're so pretty, right? Look at that. All right, here we go. I like this kind of thickness. You don't have to. And then you can cut it into the shape. That's the traditional way of making scones. Got my pan, my parchment, sprayed on the bottom so it stays together. And here is my cutter, okay? Now you can do a smaller scone. I might want to do a smaller scone. All right, I'm changing direction. What I'm going to do is cut it small. Only because there's going to be quite a few people, you know, so let's do it the regular way. I'm going to cut into these scones just like this, and I'm just using a regular butter knife. Okay, we're just going to cut it just like that, trying to make enough for everybody that's at this Veterans Kitchen. So here we go. hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna cut into it, just like that. And then, let me see if I can get enough. If I do it that way, that's not gonna be enough. Let me see. All right, let me try to figure this out. Go like this, and then like this. We want it to have enough for everybody that's gonna be there. So, I gotta switch it around a little bit. Like that, and like that. Okay, perfecto. Now, we take them, and put them on the pan. There we go. On the pan like that, and we're gonna just make a little space with them. Look how pretty. And that is how we make scones like that. I'm gonna put them a little touching, not much, a little touched, because they're gonna expand in the oven, right? Some of them are gonna be bigger than others. It's homemade, my friends, it's homemade. They're gonna love it. They're not even gonna know. So, and we're not gonna tell them, right? Well, this will be our little secret. Okay, and then just puzzle piece it together, as I call it. Puzzle piece it together if it doesn't look perfecto, okay? The good thing about it is you can do that. They're so easy to work with, right? And then they will expand in the oven and be nice and fluffy and pretty. Okay, just do that. And then we're gonna put an egg wash, okay? I have 1 egg with water, and then I'm gonna put some sugar. Okay, just like that. Nothing fancy, but this is like the traditional cut anyways, but I need a lot more than the circles would give me. So that's why I'm gonna do it this way versus the other way that I was planning on doing it. Yeah, touching a little bit, maybe, not too much. Scones like to be next to each other. I don't know why, they're just very social. That's what they are, sconies are social. All right, now, there you go. Come on, get in here. Everybody in the pool here. All right, awesome. Now, what you do here, before we shove them in the oven, is we're gonna brush them. Here we go. Real simple, real fast. And the oven's gonna do most of the work. We're gonna put some sugar on them as well, just to have a nice little sheen to them. And then I'll take them out and I'm gonna show you what they look like in the end. I think you're gonna be happy with these. This is a maple walnut, Vermont maple walnut, New Hampshire, Vermont, whatever, New England, let's put it that way. A New England, where there's maple syrup, that's where these scones are gonna be, but it's a New Hampshire one actually, that's the name of it. You can find it on the King Arthur Flour website. I have the King Arthur Flour Baking Companion cookbook, which is highly recommended, my friends. There's certain ones that I use, they're my go-to. I have all kinds of stains on that one. I am telling you, it's a seasoned vet in my kitchen. A seasoned vet. And we're doing veteran scones today. So there you go, there's the pun for the veterans. Love you, veterans, thank you for your service to our country. If I haven't said that yet, my mother would never let me live that down if I didn't say that. My mother's no longer with me, but her memories and her teachings are still going strong in my head, I'll tell you that. All right, so let me put some sugar down. And that gives it a nice little sheen. Just a little zhuzh of sugar. And I'm gonna put these in the oven at 425, okay? And that should take about, I would say maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Keep checking it and see if they are golden brown and delicious. And I will join you on the other side for this last minute scone recipe, okay? Thank you for joining me for Everything Spice. I'll see you on the other side, friends. All right, the final shot here. Now this is my maple walnut scones, okay? That's it, but I'm gonna make it even better, my friends. I made a glaze, a maple glaze with powdered sugar, maybe a cup. Real maple syrup, not pancake syrup. It has to be real maple syrup. A drop or two of extract, and be very, very, very careful with this because it's not like vanilla extract. You put too much, it's gonna be garbage. All right, so we're gonna mix it in, and sometimes you have to play with it, just the powdered sugar, just to get the right consistency. It has to be a glaze consistency, okay? So we are gonna glaze, just like that, our scones. I know, I'm so wrong like that, but you know what? It's for our veterans, and don't you think they deserve a beautiful glaze on their scones? Come on now, they're gonna appreciate it. They're worth it. They worked hard for our country, and we should work just as hard to help them out. We should do our part. My children, they volunteer at the Veterans Kitchen. I'm so proud of them. It's nice to give back, and I'm so happy that they do that. I have some good kids, I'll tell you that. God has blessed me well. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just glaze these beauties with a spoon, just like this. And then I'll show you a picture, the final reveal of these, the end. They're just so pretty, and they're gonna be so nice. Treat your veterans, treat your friends and your family. This is such a beautiful recipe that you can definitely entertain with. Have a little brunch, make some scones. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous display piece. Come over here and see this. One last shot before the beautiful, my maple walnut glazed scones. I don't know. I thank you so much for joining me tonight, being my baking companion over here. And I hope you try this recipe. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and join me next time for Everything Spice. Have a great evening, everyone. Be safe.